Jesus James Angleton, the way you spin that story round. Always sharp, just like a tack when you're tracking the price of the dollar and pound. But drop the narrative, that thing that you inherited. Your history homos chariot just pulled up outside. Scott, William, Patrick on the scene, they're breaking up the subroutine. Something's crackling in your brain, MK Ultra make you go insane. Hey, don't you know we're only on the case for a good time, baby? Took a rose pill, now I'm reading these books for a long time, baby. Honey pots and psyop traps, you can trust the plan until you snap. Slop conspiracy everywhere. History homos clear the air. Close your eyes, what's truth or lie? Hiding in the space between. Reality's a tangled scene. Tune in, you'll know what I mean. Close your eyes, what's truth or lie? Hiding in the space between. Reality's a tangled scene. Tune in, you'll know what I mean. Hey, history homos only on the case for a good time, baby. Took a roach pill, now I'm reading these books for a long time, baby.
And we're live. Welcome back to the show. Patrick and I, pause for
Shalom.
Patrick, are this week we're discussing John D.
D.
John D's nuts.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
I don't think I've seen anyone else say John D's nuts besides us,
What, were you
which is
in the car?
amazing because it's sitting right there.
Yeah, were you in the car with me earlier when I was practicing
I
it
said
to
it
my
last
windshield?
time we talked about him, to be fair.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah, because I had that in my back pocket, but
Yeah, John D's nuts is
Damn.
really good. I'm surprised no
sprung.
one else said John D's nuts, honestly.
John-
I mean, because the
I'm
guy is kind of nuts in a way.
I'm sure many people have said this John D's nuts.
Yeah, and they didn't
but-
put two and two together. These fools.
You know who said something about John D's nuts? Edward Kelly's wife.
Yeah, I bet.
Something in the defamatory sense, probably. Man, what a wild ride.
Yeah, well, I think
hope-
we have a bit of a heterodox POV on him.
I hope my life is never as interesting as his.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Not
he's the
a
original 007. So, I mean,
For
you don't
your
really
eyes
want to
only.
be you don't want to be that guy, So you know what? Who nobody wants to be 007, you know what I mean?
Except like women and English black guys, I guess now.
Yeah, I guess, yeah,
Which,
that's
I
true.
mean, who gives a shit? Frankly, the fact that James Bond is such a and it's a very late to
Contentious media topic, yeah.
the British love just putting whatever their output happens to be, Shakespeare, the Beatles, on and on. It's like it really is not.
Well, John D is a
And
pretty
James
early
Bond.
iteration of this thing, actually, if you think
The
about it.
first two, speaking of someone who thought so highly of the creative powers of speech, spoken, uttered speech,
Right.
uh,
Theologically speaking,
uh,
almost.
probably one of the first people to put to pen to put to paper the term the English Empire.
He was the first person to say British Empire. He coined the
Yeah,
term British
British
Empire.
Empire.
Yeah. I do think that's an important thing to note as we begin. Um, so
Yeah,
let's
you
talk
got
a little bit. Let's get into the meat of this. I want to start out just to talk about where he came from, the setting in which he existed in, and then we're going to talk. Okay, we'll get to. I got so much to say here. I'm getting ahead of myself. But
folks. It's very exciting.
John D. Well, hang on, let me get the Wikipedia. I actually don't have his date of birth or anything up here.
15 and 27 year of our Lord, I do believe
Oh,
it
so
was.
this is a good way to frame it. So I want to start by saying thanks to two people were the genesis of this episode. First being Jim Egan of the Newport
Oh,
old Stone Mill
yes.
Museum, who I have not met. But he certainly, I don't think that this episode would not be being undertaken right now if I had not recently visited the old stone mill in Newport, Rhode Island.
And
Um,
further investigated the
yes,
mystery therein, which pointed
as
us to
proposed by Jim Egan. Yeah. Then the other person I want to thank, of course, again, 2 weeks in a row now, is Welsh Stephen, old head, History Homos old head. Um, but yeah, he like I was like saying thinking like after we did the Jim Egan episode there or the Newport Old Stone Mill episode. By the way, that's on Substack. I was
check it out.
intrigued by John D. And then Steven reached out to me and said, "Hey, I noticed you guys were talking about John D. Have you looked into like how fucking insane this guy is?" And he sort of proposed to me my main thesis of this episode, which we will come to later. But so there's a lot of Welsh Stevens DNA in this episode, and I don't mean that he jacked off in
All
it.
right, all right, all right. What is this?
We're
The
talking about
alchemy
alchemy.
lab?
We're talking
Yeah.
about alchemy. Yeah, I was gonna say.
All right. The best, what you can say about John D is he did not seem to preserve his urine in
No,
any
yeah.
uh,
He
mentionable
was a
sense.
less of scatological alchemist.
Yeah, he was more into manifesting beetles,
Yeah.
speaking to rocks, and like anyone ever in their social media biography, he loves to travel.
True. He
He
does. He was
loves to get
probably more
around.
well traveled than most people at the time, though.
No, oh yeah, the one of the most well-traveled and most well-educated men in the history of you know
Certainly of the
the
16th
modern world.
century.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So
So let's talk about his dad first. Roland D.
no, yeah.
Roland D
See the
was
child.
yeah.
The
Well, yeah, we do have a tendency to talk about people's dads before we talk about them,
Mhm.
huh?
Well, yeah, no, folks, see the child, the father of the man.
Yeah, you're
It's
right.
all there. It's all written
But
for folks.
yeah, the yeah, Roland D was he was like a weaver, and then he ended up working as he's like a lower gentry member of
Hmm.
the Welsh aristocracy, actually, speaking of
Oh, wow.
Welsh Stephen. But yeah, the it's worth mentioning that so he was in the court of Henry the Eighth, big fat Henry the Eighth. And
You could only fit so many people in that room too, so
through
that's a
that.
big
And he was
deal.
in charge of his dinner, as I'm told. which is actually kind of an important role if you think
What a
about it, because we're talking about the king
backbreaking,
here. Well, no, it's
backbreaking
not. He wasn't
affair.
literally carrying the dinner out. I mean, he took care of his eating arrangements, and he probably tasted the food to make sure it
Mm,
wasn't poisoned.
very, very important. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's not to be understated.
Just
That's a
yes, they
very,
did
very,
poison kings. It happens
for sure.
frequently. Yeah,
Sometimes they poison themselves with
true.
gout.
Yeah, like
Dumbass.
him, for instance.
Retard.
Yeah. But yeah, so he was a like a lower gentry member, and he had like some influence in the court of Henry VIII. But Henry VIII killed Anne Boleyn, who was a Puritan, and the historical record apparently indicates that the Welsh aristocracy there were sort of aligned with the aligns with what's his name, Cromwell,
Oh, right, right.
and the Puritan, not the Puritan, but more so the Protestants. And Anne Boleyn was a Puritan. And his next wife, I don't remember her name, maybe Catherine of Aragon, yes, from Spain, was obviously Catholic. So, by the way, it's also worth mentioning that despite the fact that he like fucked up all of the cathedrals and everything in England and stripped them of all their riches and took them into the royal treasury or whatever. Um, he died. Henry VIII, I mean, died like a faithful Catholic because of his wife.
Eh, not for nothing.
Yeah.
Give him his, yeah, but
I'm just saying he's full of shit. Is what he
yeah,
like upended everything so he could get divorced, and then just ended up being Catholic
yeah,
until he
but
died anyway.
he repented, so it's fine.
I
He repent.
guess
No, it's not. It's very
it's not.
bad.
He
It's very.
sucks actually. Yeah,
We wish him well, but
I
hey, man,
guess. Do we have to wish monarchs well? I think we get a
that
pass on them, right?
no, no, everybody gets
All
wished
right, fine,
well. It's out of
fine,
our
fine,
hands.
fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, so but my point being is that so Roland D sort of fell from court favor when the Protestants sort of left the building, and as a result, at the end of John D's adolescence, they were very hard up for money. And in spite of this, he ended up becoming educated at Oxford, and he was and in numerous different fields, I should mention.
Hmm.
And so during the next 20 years, there was a lot of crowns shifting. And D was happened to be, he managed to sort of worm his way into the good graces of all of these fucking monarchs, by the way.
The Londoners coming to town, dust off the carpet,
Yeah.
wipe the blood from the corners of your mouths. The Londoners coming to town. He was, yeah, very, very well received everywhere he went.
Yeah. Well, I want to take a step back here because we were talking about Roland before, and Roland.
Mm,
It's worth mentioning that all of these sort of lower court people, particularly ones who like have like administrative function in like the court, were spies. And this is what they would do, little passing notes, like particularly given that he was in the Welsh. It seems pretty obvious that there would be like a bit of passing information back to the Welsh aristocracy from the
hmm
court of the king. As you know,
hmm
there's constant conniving going on, skullduggery, if you will. That's a key word from this episode, I think. Um, but yeah,
So,
it's a bit of we're getting into a bit of speculation here by saying that Roland was a spy, or an intriguist, if you will.
but
Um,
forgive me for interrupting, but forgive our speculation because we don't even know what year John Dee died. All right.
yeah,
So there's
nobody
very
does. Yeah,
much some of the most basic facts that, should, guide anyone's reasoning through history are missing here, or there's facts that are at odds with one another. So speculation's necessary. And I think it's
right.
silly to think that the dude that cooks and is trusted with ensuring that the king's food is not poisoned. And like you say, lower gentry,
That's definitely an intelligence job. You know what
you
I
know,
mean? Like, yeah,
Yeah, because imagine all the different kinds of people uh, that he's interacting with. Just your general chef. You know,
Yeah,
he's like
that's
Anthony Bourdain.
commoner.
John Dee's dad was Anthony Bourdain, basically.
Jewish.
He was half a Fed, uh,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
and
yeah.
very, very sociable.
Compromised.
Yeah. Jujitsu fan, actually.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. I just think it's
Yeah,
speculation is
yeah,
warranted here.
for sure, for sure. But okay, but what is not speculated on is that he became a friend, advisor, and a personal astrologer for Queen Elizabeth. Now, during the era of he became friends with Queen Elizabeth when she was just like princess. I don't know if she was called princess or maybe duchess. Doesn't fucking matter. But she was whatever she was before she was coronated queen. And it was during the reign of Bloody Mary, who was the one who killed people for not being Catholic, I believe.
What a peach.
Yeah.
What a doll.
But
How
yeah,
best to
during
evangelize.
notably though, even though he was a member of her like lower like fringes, he had he was in prison briefly because he was accused, whether or not this is true, I tend to think it might have been. He was accused of having done a horoscope for the Queen, Queen Mary, to predict when she would die.
Yeah. Which that's
Because he was bosom buddies with the future Queen Elizabeth, and the lore goes that she had asked him to do a horoscope for the two of them, so
mhm.
they might know when Queen Mary would die, so that she would be able to coronate it, and two, that when Elizabeth would be coronated. It's a major detail of life.
Yeah, no, the most propitious, is that the word? Days? The
Well,
most,
that
yeah.
too. That's another separate thing. But well, I was literally coming to it immediately now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. When Queen Mary did end up, I think she ended up abdicating. I think due to political pressures, if I'm not mistaken, she did not die. Um,
Mhm.
but regardless, when Queen Elizabeth stepped up to be coronated, she immediately consulted Dee with what would be the most prominent astrological day possible to be coronated. And indeed, by the way, if you look at the way that they do like the if did you see the video of the Queen's funeral, by the way?
Oh, brother, I was just thinking the
I
same thing,
literally
man.
that, and then also the coronation, like all these wacky rituals they're clearly doing. It's like D is alive and well in that castle, dude. Like,
Oh, yeah, man. And you know who I don't want to meet? Whose name I don't want to know? Is the
yeah, the
current
guy
court
who
astrologer.
the
Yeah.
current court, John
Who's that
D. Yeah,
creep?
yeah,
I wish him well. I don't, hey, I don't want him to even know my name.
yeah.
But, uh, oh man.
But
It's,
did I say this theory, by the way? William rejected it, but I think it was more like he just didn't want to think that way. But if you remember, people prior to the Queen dying was like 3 or 4 weeks before she died was her Jubilee, meaning the 100th anniversary or something, or the 80th anniversary of her
mhm.
being crowned or whatever. And but I remember like 3 or 4 months more even prior to that, everyone was saying, "Hey, nobody's seen the Queen
Yeah,
for
yeah,
months. What is
yeah,
going on? Is
dude.
she dead?" And
Oh
then
yeah.
the Jubilee happened, and she was there, air quotes. And then a few weeks later, they're like, "Ah, she died." And I remember thinking the whole time, like, wasn't she already dead? Like, wasn't she missing for months? And I had the theory, the schizo theory, of course, that she was dead and they just weekend at Bernie's her for it because, and not like a super duper wacky John D conspiracy either. I feel like they're like, well, we already spent all the money for the
Yeah,
fucking party.
we are not. We brought all of these Pakistanis here for the party. We're not sending
Yeah.
them back.
We spent 14 million quid on this party.
14 million quid on doilies alone. You think we're going to back off on this?
Yeah,
Prop the bitch
what
up.
region of England is that?
Fucking shit town.
Yeah.
Shitmouthsville.
Yeah.
My and my condolences to the
Yeah,
country.
listen
Yeah,
to Prince Andrew specifically about his brother.
we wish him well.
We wish him well. But what's it called? Anyway, so that's weird. If you guys have never seen that video, pull that shit up. I'm not gonna pull
But
it up right
brother,
now because it's too ancillary.
I was
But
thinking the same exact thing. Absolutely, the whole time is
the
that
point
they
is that all this shit is all conjuncted with goofy ass numbers and symbols and all kinds of kooky wooky stuff.
real woogly boogly, real yeah, all sorts of nonsense words to
Now,
describe.
the other
It's
thing we
all
have to
horse shit,
we
man.
have to acknowledge here, and this is in direct contrast with the author of the book that we read this week, Deborah Harkness. But so I am of the firm belief that John Dee was a spy the entire time that he was doing any of this stuff, and I'll go through all the reasons why as we go along. But the fact that he never met publicly, like in a big. I mean, he did do the court astronomy thing, and he also was part of the actual coronation. There's a very famous picture I plan to use as the thumbnail of the episode of him doing some sort of little light show in front of the queen during her coronation. And interestingly, they did like carbon radio analysis of this painting, and they have a hidden message in it. This is what I just never ends with these people, by the way. So when they painted this painting of the coronation, they first painted an image of three skulls like ominously perched on a ledge, and then they just painted black over that, and then they painted the painting of the coronation. And you can look at this only by looking through a carbon, like radiocarbon analysis. I don't know how that works. Maybe it's fake. Maybe the
John
whole
Dean
thing's a
knew how that
hoax.
works.
John D
Bet
probably
you
knew.
anything.
Yeah.
Why would that be done at that point in history, if not out of necessity for lack of canvases?
I think that's like the normie explanation for the record.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, because uh
They were just trying to save money on the canvas.
we don't want to waste the canvases, do we? On account of the little trees.
I know you'd think that it's like the picture of the queen, you'd be like, well, maybe we'll get a new one for this one.
Dude,
Yeah.
we'll burn down a country. We'll flatten the country. We'll take every tree out of what? I don't know.
Yeah, I listen.
Poland.
I agree. But either way,
Yeah, but yeah, to
so yeah,
make
so
the
this check out the thumbnail. You will not see. But yeah, there's a pretty good by the way, this is a pretty good example of Renaissance art. By the way, you're just really starting to get perspective down. Because you know
oh
what I'm
yeah.
talking about, like in the
Oh
medieval
yeah.
paintings, like the medieval manuscripts, where everybody's just like a fucking keyhole Ken, like everyone's
Yeah.
exactly the same body.
Yeah, it's kind of like the NPC thing where
Yeah.
it's all
Yes.
just the
They're all
same.
soy. Yeah, they're all soy jacks, but they're all wojacks rather. um.
I mean, yeah, you hate to be a extra in a medieval painting because something
Yeah.
horrible is happening to
A
you.
rabbit is hacking your head off with an axe. A snail is attacking you.
The holy hand grenade of Antioch's blowing up in your hand. Oh, you don't
That
like
like is
Monty
based on,
Python?
I think that not to get off topic here, but medieval manuscripts, that scene in Monty Python where they fight the killer rabbit, I do think that that's like a reference to those like killer rabbits in the medieval manuscripts.
No shit.
Yeah, they're always like holding knives menacingly and shit. I wonder what the deal is with that. Nobody knows. I watched a whole video on it and they said we don't know why they did that. They just thought it was cool to have rabbits with weapons.
John Dee's nose.
Yeah, John D's nuts. Okay, so here's the thing. He while he would do
Here's a
like
thing. All right, boss.
while he would do stuff like be the official court astronomer, et cetera, be there during the coronation. He never like was a public associate with Queen Elizabeth. However, they did meet in secret frequently.
Right.
Further, throughout his travels in Europe, which is officially he was like on the outs with the royal family at the time, supposedly. But he was sending her letters the whole time. That went directly to her desk too, by the
Yeah.
way. And
Yeah.
also letters to the actual guy whose job title was Spy Master of the British Empire.
Walsingham. Yeah.
Walsingham. Yes, thank you for remembering his name.
Yeah, dude. It's ridiculous to say that it's impossible to relay any information across town like in this time. Like,
Yeah.
never mind across countries, across
Water,
kingdoms.
oceans, yeah, or seas at
So
least.
the fact that these communiques were consistent and they reached their destinations, that's the other thing. Is like,
Yeah, I mean, it is the queen, so like you think
yeah.
if anyone's gonna get their mail, it's gonna be the queen.
Well, the fact that it wasn't thrown out, the fact that it's
Yeah.
they didn't, yeah, it's speaks volumes. But
Now, okay, so now the other thing I wanted to say was there's like sort of this image of John Dee in the public consciousness where he's like a spooky ghost guy. You know what I mean? So I like when I brought this and I told my wife I was doing this episode, she goes, "Oh yeah, the guy from Sandman," and I go, "Oh yeah, I forgot he's the villain of the comic book Sandman by Neil Gaiman."
no shit. And Alan Moore, comic book magician
Yeah,
extraordinaire, was the one that
libtard.
first um the John D musical, that Damon Albarn of the Gorillas
Yeah,
that you put me on to.
yeah,
That musical was Alan Moore's idea.
right.
So that there's a funnily enough, there is a confluence between magicians and graphic artists.
True that.
Yeah.
And well, whatever. I know what's it called? Neil Gaiman recently got Me Too'd, and it's very funny because it was one of those like
Him too.
yeah, him too. But he it's just like one of those like libtards who get like rape accusations leveled at them, and it's just like
Oh man. Well,
but
I
anyway, what?
I just hope nobody got raped, and I just hope
There was
he
not it was the that's the best part is like he like asked a girl out and there was like, ew, you're creepy, and then
that's
like that's canceled worthy. I don't know.
oh man, can't never win.
I that's you only win by you don't play. And
Damn
that's
straight.
the game we're talking about is being a libtard.
Yeah. All right. Now back to the game, the what do you call it? The game of what was it
The great
called?
work.
Yeah, yeah, sure enough.
Oh,
Yeah.
the great work. But yeah, no, so oh yeah, but he's in
Game of
Sandman, and he's
Thrones.
in his character in Sandman. He literally looks like a zombie demon monster, like you know what I mean. And you
Rude.
know, that's what that was what was in my head when I first heard John D. and I first heard Jim Egan talking about him at the in vis-a-vis the Newport Old Stone Tower there. And I imagine him to be like a literal walking corpse or something
Yeah.
like in the comic book. But and indeed, by the way, that is sort of his cultural footprint. Kind of like last week we were talking about Johnny Appleseed. Johnny Appleseed is considered like this saint almost. Whether or
Mm,
not he was saintly in real life, it seems like he was very nice and good and all that stuff. But like actually saintly is another conversation.
mm.
And certainly the reputation of John Dee after his life is that he raised ghosts out of the grave with his kooky polyamorous friends and talked to the devil himself and made pacts with the devil and stuff. And the reality is much, much, much more complex than that.
Hmm. As the truth will always be.
True.
But the truth will never be as complex as Enochian magic, or as the Kabbalah, or as the Zohar, or as the Talmud, or as any other thing
And
that
mysticism, Jewish
any
mysticism, particularly.
Hermeticism, yeah. It's I wanted to ask you about this. Sorry if it's a sidebar, but
I don't
what
think
do you,
it is.
what do you think about any sort of institution that had that you know has hidden knowledge, that has wisdom that is only reserved for an elect few?
You ready for my hot take of this entire episode?
Do tell me.
It's all bullshit and it's all about spying on people.
That's literally yes, but I'm just meaning that, like, isn't it interesting that people want something that's like out of
Well,
their
it's
reach?
tantalizing. We all get that whenever so you find out there's a secret, even if you know it's something mundane like what you're getting for Christmas from your wife,
Hmm.
just knowing there's a hidden piece of information that is being held from you, it is tantalizing. I'm not saying it makes you overwhelmed. I'm not saying it makes you do things you wouldn't do, but there is that very reptilian piece of your brain that there's a piece of information niggling at your consciousness.
Googling, waddling at my yeah, no, absolutely. I take issue with the idea that
Well,
people's eternal
let me take that a step
salvation.
further. Let me take that a
Yeah.
step further. I think this is a feature, not a bug, of
Oh yeah.
the occult tradition, as it were.
Oh
And
yeah.
I also think that, and again, we talk about this all the time. It's big feature of Program to Kill, of Eye of the Chicken Hawk. But this idea that in order to gain someone's loyalty on another level, it would be a good easy way to do that is to initiate them into some sort of secret order.
To be
Uh,
gay and do crimes.
yes, that too. I mean,
Yeah.
they're pretty out and out about that stuff.
And it's on bumper stickers.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, absolutely. I,
But sorry, I
go
keep
ahead.
getting a little
Yeah.
sidetracked here, but I just mean like I think like a lot of this like esoterica, as it were, is just a way. It's like again, it's at the time particularly. This is important to note because at the time this was considered heresy. A lot of this, so this was blackmail you could have on someone if you got, say, the Holy Roman Empire emperor in a room talking to a spiritus. Whether or not spiritus does in fact translate to angel in Latin is sometimes can be construed elsewise by someone less scrupulous than me. And
In
yeah,
fact, um, I mean, here's one thing I'm kind of hung up on is how he had many detractors. He had many people who were not necessarily disbelieving, but very, very skeptical. What are the odds that D was smoking people out, just absolutely getting them zooted
on
on
what? That's the question.
that's the yeah, that is the question is because I've had that in my head, but there's not much mention of him being much I mean he's an alchemist, but
Pharmacologically inclined,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So
So yeah, I think thought
I
did cross
wonder.
my mind as well. I just struggle to one. I struggle to sort of grok what he would be smoking people out with. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Maybe
Um
he gave him Amanita muscaria in the tea or something. It's possible they did know about that stuff.
definitely yeah, so that's or
It's
even,
possible. I don't know that it's plausible. It's plausible. It's
more likely
plausible.
yet, more likely yet, you get people in some compromising positions whenever you inflame their passions or appeal to their more eccentric or
Yes,
ecstatic
that's what I'm saying. You got to understand the
modes.
context of the times.
Oh yeah.
Is that they're walking a tightrope. This is the thing that we really maybe we'll take a quick detour here because I want to talk about just the field of natural philosophy. Which so when you type in what was John Dee to Google, it goes he was a natural philosopher. Now, what is a natural philosopher? You might be asking is
It's like Scott here. He
no,
has a knack for it.
no, that's not what it means. But no, it's a scientist basically. But the word scientist had not been coined yet. In fact, the word science had not been coined yet. Um, I don't know who is the person who coined it, but I believe it was the guy who also came up with the scientific process or whatever.
Is it, I bet Bacon maybe
I
or
bet it was
some.
Francis Bacon. Yeah, I think you're right, actually.
And this is why, folks, little peek behind the curtain. I wanted to make this into a month-long research
We
excursion.
can't do that. We got to go to a new topic after a week.
There's so many
We got to do the
overlapping.
Stanley Kubrick's brother episode.
Oh, don't tell the folks. Tune in next week for the
It's
episodes
the
where we
Stanley Kubrick's
investigate
brother episode.
Stanley. It's not even his brother, but fine.
Whatever.
Um, so it's very, I don't know, man.
You were
As you were
okay.
saying,
I will. Let me just say what I'll say. What I think you're gonna say is
yeah.
when I said what I think we should cover tonight. You were like, "Well, no, I wanted to do like 5 more days of research, getting to the absolute bottom of the Kabbalah and fucking all of Western esotericism."
I'm right on the cusp, Scott. I think I've got it. It's just around the corner.
Yeah.
I mostly just wanted because there's so Francis Bacon is a contemporary figure. as well. Bloody Mary in herself is such a crazy,
Yeah. That's a
blip.
whole episode though.
Oh yeah. But then there's just the simple fact that this is quite an apocalyptic time as we
That's what
steer
I'm coming
back
to now.
to.
That's exactly,
Yeah.
we're going to spend a few minutes talking about this. Yeah. So, okay. And this is very Gerard tie-in here. I want to use Gerardian framework to sort of build into this whole thing. So,
Put
what do
on
we
your
know about
Gerardals.
pre-Christian pagan times? Um, when something bad happened, it was there was so much superstition in the air due to the fact of the pagan ritual and the scapegoat ritual that was exercised through the pagan religion. So when something catastrophic happened, such as an earthquake, a fire, a comet, or and something as simple as a comet or a
Birth
eclipse,
defects,
birth defects, an eclipse, or just a new star being noticed in the sky.
even twins, Scott. There's a
Yeah.
folks check out Gil Bailey's book. I forget the name,
Okay.
but
Well, that's fine.
there's great bits in there about how twins were seen as this split soul, and
Right. Well, then they'll be fighting each other. There's the whole
so
mimetic
let's just
process.
kill them
Yeah.
both now.
But no, the reason I bring it up though is because so if anything bad happened, they would just go, well, clearly the gods are angry.
What else can
All we
happen?
need to do is do our rituals that are been passed down from time immemorial, and then
Hmm.
eventually we'll have overcome this and whatever transgression we've done, and then the gods will not be mad anymore. And so they
Hmm.
have this sort of reactionary sort of position towards any and all tragedies of any type.
Where essentially, rather than come to a logical conclusion, there had to be a mythological or a symbolic one, and
Right.
typically that we're also talking about plagues. And when we talk
Yes.
about plagues in the ancient sense, it wasn't always a sickness. It was often just like
Yeah.
when there's just
Hysteria of
a
some kind.
bad
Yeah.
vibe,
Yeah.
just tension is high. And that's often because there's resentment, which is a ressentiment. Gerard uses the French term like very, very um, prominently.
Explicitly. Yeah.
Yeah, because that will build and have to be directed, and always will be directed to an underclass of individual, or an someone who is
Right.
easily scapegoated, or so
Right.
on.
Let's not get too bogged down in the
But
Gerard
yeah.
theory. I just wanted to make sure you understand that. So prior to the Christian revelation and the Christianization of Europe, every time something bad like this happened, people were sort of wanted to just brush it under the rug and move on with their lives via the scapegoat ritual, via the ritualization of superstition,
Mhm.
and et cetera, et cetera. Now, the Christian revelation occurs, Europe becomes Christianized, people start people stop viewing these things as punish. At first, sometimes they will view it as punishment. We've sinned, God's punishing us, of course, like the Old Testament. But as time goes on, particularly after the Reformation and the printing of the Bible in the common tongues of people, people start opening their fucking Bibles up and they go, "Hey, there's a whole section of this about how the world ends."
Y- y- That's very, very rarely brought up in even Orthodox liturgies. It's not. I don't even think it's part of the regular
Right.
calendar.
I think even now most of the mainline religions view Revelations as being fairly metaphorical, which is, by the way, I do want to say it was written in a metaphorical way, I
Yeah,
believe,
yeah.
at its conception, but that's not the way people thought in the Middle Ages when they first clapped eyes on these pieces of scripture. And also, this is the other thing is, the movement, the Protestant Reformation, and more broadly, the shifting of theological tides in that time period that we're talking about, caused even Catholics to sort of have a different relationship with God than they did prior to the Protestant Reformation. Whether
Hmm.
or not they actually changed religions, there was a more shift away from this sort of collective, this sort of transmitting of your faith through a conduit such as a priest or a saint or an angel or something. This now became something, if you would literally get on your knees and pray to God, just like people
Hmm.
do today, by the way. This was the origin of it. And because of this, um people started to just take notice of this stuff, and they, well, but basically what I'm saying is they started to think that it was end times, because now that there's the ritualization and superstitionizing of natural occurrences such as comets, plagues, et cetera, now these people have this idea of eschatology, which is the study, or the predictions of what the end
The
times will
reading
be like.
reading of the signs.
Reading of the signs
Yeah.
of the end times. Yeah, I believe it means signs of the times or something, eschaton.
Right.
Um, but regardless, it's on the tip of everybody's tongue, because it's now firmly baked into the cultural consciousness of Christian Europe, um, because of the fact that everyone's actually engaging directly with Scripture now and not just
Hmm.
hearing it through Latin at Mass.
Every man a
Um,
priest, as they
yeah,
say.
and
Yeah.
his and prophet. Um, and so what I'm saying is that this now led a lot of people. There was this real cultural moments, and again, this, by the way, is, I forget the author, but he wrote this book, like the idea of decline in the West. Is like literally
Uh,
every time period through history, people are like, it's over, it's so over.
that's
I can't remember.
oh,
Doesn't
that's the
matter.
guy that did the book about Plato and Aristotle. I know what you're talking about. It's a good book.
It's not important, yeah. But regardless, he's right though to say that every time period in history, people thought the world was ending,
Mhm.
including now and including literally in ancient Greece.
Arthur
um,
Herman.
Arthur Herman, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but regardless, so okay. But here's the important thing, and you're gonna say to me, this was my initial thought when I was started to like ponder this, because this is sort of the way the book frames it. Which, by the way, did I tell the title of it? It's called John Dee's conversation.
Nuts.
John Dee's nuts is the title of the book. No, John Dee's angel conversations, um, Kabbalah something, and the end of history, or the end of
Angels,
nature.
John Dee's
Angels.
convers. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Kabbalah, alchemy, and the end of history. Yeah,
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Deborah
end of
Harker.
nature. I'm sorry.
End
Jeez.
of nature, yeah. Um, but yeah, it's not Francis Fukuyama. Yeah. But okay.
Oh, Karina,
But it's
where's your
so
beef?
with the way it's framed, it's almost like this was like a bug to Christianity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the
Hmm.
way the book frames it. I'm sure it's because this is like a libtard woman who wrote the book, but I thought about it a little harder, and honestly, this change, this idea. Well, because the fact that people are starting to take notice of this and go, "Oh shit, the world's ending!" Literally, Revelations is happening. This is what
Yeah.
got them to actually stop and write down when this stuff was happening, take
Yeah.
note of it, and then go. And then when the world didn't end, they said, well, the world didn't end. Let's figure out what that really was then. And that's
Hmm.
where you get the rich tradition of European innovations in the fields of astronomy and science, and et cetera, et cetera. So again, Christ is responsible for the scientific revolution in a
It's
totally positive way.
it's a it's a like really hack Gerard poll at this point, but it bears repeating. We did not come up with the scientific method because we did not stop burning witches because we came up with the scientific method. We came up with the scientific method because we stopped burning witches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you stop allowing yourself to displace blame and to, find an easy answer or a convenient way to, solve a problem you already had,
Right.
you know who, uh, then you have to come to some real tangible.
Right.
And so,
And this
yeah.
is this like new consciousness that was granted all of Europe by the fact that they did not have this easy way out of explaining why something
Hmm.
bad happened to them, allowed this extra brain matter to go into figuring out why, you know?
Yeah. Um, an
And John D is the culmination of this. So this is where
a
I want to focus on like why he's kind of cool.
a grim echo, if I may say, is you know how he had his black obsidian mirror that has been
That's
more or
not
less,
his.
yeah, that's a weird thing. It reminded me of the obsidian blades that were used by
In Skyrim.
Aztecs.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah, because I have all this like, there's a lot of murder on the mind at this point in history. Yeah.
true.
And
But just to put the fine point on it, so there is a black obsidian mirror in the British Museum that is
hmm,
attributed to having been owned by John D, Dr. John D, and it is not. The book says that it is incorrectly labeled as being John D's, and it was probably just some random circus performers or something. And for some reason, it's attributed to having been John D's nuts. And his actual show stone, we'll get to the show stone in a minute, but it's missing. Nobody knows where it went.
um oh, maybe consult the painting of Queen Elizabeth with the thousand
Skulls in the background.
no,
Yeah.
no, not even that one. The one where she's has the peacock plumage behind her.
Oh yeah.
And that's meant to symbolize her thousands of spies all over the world.
Right. John D being one of them, I think.
Yeah. Well,
But
two eyes.
yeah, so natural philosophy
Two
again,
O's.
it's they didn't have the word science yet, but he was sort of like a multi-disciplinary scientist essentially. He was a linguist, historian, cartographer,
Hmm.
astrologer, astronomer, mathematician.
Oh yeah.
He was did I say
Love to
anatomist?
bake.
I don't think
Um,
he'd like to cook. But
he
and
was
then also
let
he
him cook.
studied antiquity stuff. He read he was really into reading ancient as old tomes as he possibly could. He was really into studying the works of Plato and Socrates and Aristotle and all those
One of the
fellas.
biggest library curators of his
He
time.
was the biggest library curator possibly of all history.
Yeah.
He
And
certainly had the largest collection of books in the British Empire at the time, and
madness.
also his library was the size of Oxford and what's the other college there? Cambridge combined.
And he lugged this around everywhere. You
Well,
kidding me?
no, he
No.
actually had a travel library, but
Right
he
up here.
but interestingly, well, we'll get to that when he comes back. But so yeah, and I also should mention that during his spying, what we can confirm as his being spy times, he came up with the code name 007. And
Double O 7.
he is indeed the namesake of 007, the character from the Ian Fleming novels and the films. The code is a cryptogram, the two zeros being for your eyes only,
Mm.
and seven being just a number that he viewed as theologically prominent, and he took it
It,
to be his personal sigil.
I started getting into his uh, personal approach to gematria and all that. He
Mm-hmm.
put great emphasis on the number of letters in the
In
name.
the word, yeah.
So
That's
seven being
how
John D.
gematria works.
Yeah. So it's a good thing that I did not get extra time to get back into
Yeah, you would
gematria.
have cooked your brain if
Oh,
we went
dude,
all the way down this rabbit hole.
I'd be
Do you
wearing
ever like
Stevie Wonder
do you ever
glasses right
like
now.
see like ever after every time there's a school shooting or like whatever, there's like some fucking weirdo on Telegram who'll be like every person's name involved, like the shooter, the victim, the name of the school. It's all
Yeah.
splayed out in gematria and saying like, look, this is 33, this is 6 million, this is like
I
42.
bet you it's not. Um, the here's the I won't jump the shark here
Well, just
by
say what. Yeah, well, just say give a thumbnail sketch of what it is.
these dudes are full of shit. All right. Essentially, it is a
It's cryptography.
more more or less. Well, yes, that's what it's
It is
practice for
ultimately, yeah.
cryptography. This is the way that they pass the time when they're not passing,
They're basically
messages.
doing Sudoku.
Yes,
It's like
yes,
esoteric
yes,
Sudoku. Yeah.
absolutely, man. It's these totally subjectively determined sets of numbers and corresponding alphabets where they take out some letters because it doesn't work. And
How
I
about he has like 42 different names for God and they're all just random letters and none of them are fucking make it's like I doubt it. I doubt it.
I
I don't think this
press
is
an
I don't think
X.
anyone called God this. I think you just
No.
made all this shit up so you can make a table of numbers so you can pass letters to your girlfriend, the queen.
Which, I mean, this is what I truly think it is. I think it is you call like you said, it's hucksterism to a a PhD
Nth
level.
degree, yeah.
It is creating, it's literally going into the court and laying out a whatever paradigm,
Hmm.
what have you, and then who can pitch it the best?
Yeah.
Who has the
I
best
imagine he was
line of
very
shit?
charismatic.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I truly think that this is just a matter of how well can you lay out your reasoning before people, until people stop asking questions, until they just say,
Yeah.
all right,
I think
it
it's like
seems to know what he's
not
talking about.
dissimilar. Speaking of Welsh Steven, the that Elvis documentary, the Elvis documentary where the it's called Blue Suede
Substack.com.
Jew, Substack historyhomospod.substack.com. We did a whole episode on it. It's very funny. But there's this BBC documentary about this Israeli Elvis impersonator who claims he and his son can channel Elvis. Speaking of channeling, um,
Elvis endorses Ritalin, apparently.
yeah,
Also, we forgot
we
to
didn't
mention that on
mention
the
that.
show.
Yeah, I know. I feel bad.
Yeah.
But the idea though is the whole movie you're watching these liars like these liars just be like, "Oh yes, I can totally talk to Elvis. I'm talking to him right now."
Oh, I'm not talking to him right now because in heaven it is very late. He is
He's
sleeping.
if you remember it wasn't that he was asleep, it's that he
No.
must have a show tonight
He has a
in
big show
heaven.
tonight. He needs to
Which by the way, they
rest.
only speak Hebrew in heaven, by the way.
It's the first language in heaven.
Yeah.
What's the second language? Decoder ring speak?
Esperanto, yeah.
Esperanto. Bitches speaking Esperanto.
But
Um,
yeah, no, but yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But the way that these people operate in this documentary is like you can tell they know they're lying, but they almost believe it themselves, and they're pushing it as far as they can go with it for
mhm.
whatever gain they can get. And this is John D, dude. Like
Yeah.
John D kind of believed his own bullshit, but also he was very, I think, again, speculating here, this is fucking 600 years ago, 500 something years ago. Um, but I gotta imagine this was all a really sophisticated con in order to A, grift a living, doing glorified parlor tricks.
Which, by the way, the man was always living on the edge. All right, he was like a
Yeah, oh,
grifter.
always broke. Remember I mentioned before that his dad was broke at the end of the Henry VIII reign? They
Yeah,
never recovered. Even though bro had the biggest library, he spent all his money on books.
reminds me of some dipshit. I
Yeah,
know.
yeah, I know, yeah.
Listen, when the power goes out, we're gonna be reading. We're gonna be doing this
We were
podcast by
reading
candlelight.
about Kabbalah and shit, more
Uh,
fucking kook books. Do those
um,
books take it seriously? That's the question I want to know.
they vary. Like I've got stuff by Gershom Scholem that takes it very seriously, and then I've got
Of course it's real.
yeah, and then I've got stuff that's like that shouldn't take itself seriously at all. But it is. It's like Atlantis and the Masons and DB Cooper was
DB
33rd
Cooper was a
degree.
Enochian, yeah.
D, John D
DB
contacted
Cooper
him.
walked with God.
When you're walking in the sand and you just see one.
Footprint. It was DB Cooper carrying you. Yeah.
So, um, I truly do think that this was just a game of charisma,
Yep.
of
He's a confidence man.
blackmail, a con. Yeah, it was a big long con that just like in the Prestige, like we mentioned on
He's
Louis
living his
Zero.
act.
He's living his act. Yeah. John Dee
But
was
anyway,
just a little
so
Chinese man.
at in the 1580s, 1582. Okay, well, also let me just real quick. I got to talk more about the book of nature. So this idea that the world is a book. So the idea at the time in all forms of Christianity was this idea that the word, meaning, in the beginning was the word in the very first
Mhm.
line of Genesis. They mean that
Amen.
they take that kind of literally, and they go so far as to say that like God speaking is what his utterance is, what was the moment of creation.
I believe it,
There's
but
something to it. There's certainly
but
something to it.
doesn't mean I got to go off in a dark room with some guy.
Well, I'm just trying to set the stage.
Yeah,
I don't have any sort of thing against what about all this stuff I'm about to say.
we're just
So
laying it
the
out,
way
folks.
the way that they sort of conceived, particularly given the time period, because what now this was a time period of rising literacy, and
Hmm.
people prior to this, no one ever saw written language other than a sign or in graffiti or something. But now every person sees a book. So
Imagine that
now
though. I'm
I
sorry,
know.
but imagine that. You just learned to read. You just have your hand on it, which is something that is immensely
Yeah.
powerful for personally and, you know, humane,
Metaphysically.
across time. Yeah,
It opens up
makes us
it's
better.
like going from 2 to 3D.
Imagine that, man. You learn to read, and the first thing you read is the Bible, and the first thing you read
Is
is
the
in the
world's ending.
beginning.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
no.
yeah,
In the
yeah, yeah.
beginning was the word.
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't that
True. Yeah,
beautiful?
you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so but basically though, the idea is that there's three emanations of the word. One, the first being the human soul. That's the book of the soul. The second being the book of scripture, that being the actual Bible, the words of scripture,
Hmm.
the literal book, as it were. And then lastly, I don't know if this is in this order, but this is how I understand it. But the lastly would be the book of nature, which is quite literally the earth.
Hmm.
And this is the thing is that John Dee and all of his contemporaries sort of thought of the world as a book, and ergo, it was something that you could decode like language in a book. And they took that, like I said, they took that the beginning was the word. They took that idea that you literally created matter. God at least created matter by just speaking it into existence. And they take this theory a little further and they go, well, maybe we won't be God, but Adam was a guy. And Adam did sort of speak things into existence, didn't he? He spoke all of the animals on Earth into existence. Now, of course, this is pre-lapse. This is before the fall. So there's something that we're missing, we're lacking that Adam had. But John Z and his contemporaries said, well, maybe there's something on the earth. Now, we're never going to be God. We're never going to be deities. We're never going to be even angels. We'll get to angels in a minute, but we're never going to be that. But maybe, just maybe, we can get back to what we were before the fall by doing something good works, as it were, which is what Jesus tells us to do. And this is also a major feature of the Jewish Kabbalah. I talked about this before in a few other episodes, but like this idea of the Kabbalah, the tree of wisdom, it's a almost like a map. If you've
Hmm.
all seen it,
Hmm.
it's in the opening credits of Neon Genesis
If
Evangelion.
you've played hopscotch, you've seen it.
Yeah. But yeah, literally it is that. But it's also in the opening credits of Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Watch
But
it.
you've seen it before. It's like a map, and it's like a map of the tree of life, the tree of wisdom. It's called the tree of wisdom. It's analogous to
Hmm.
the tree of life with the information the sorry the knowledge of life and death on it. Um, and the idea is you sort of at different points in your life you inhabit different nodes of it. You inhabit different sort of archetypical human beings, I guess. Like there's, of course, there's Jacob and whatever what the other guy's name is who married Ruth,
Boaz.
Boaz. Yeah, they're the two main pillars of it, and it's also supposed to be analogous to Solomon's temple. But
Mm.
I'm not trying to get too deep into this. I'm serious. But
No,
the
no.
idea is you're trying to strive towards the top of it, which is the primordial man, Adam Kadmon, which is like Adam before he fucked up.
All right.
Yeah.
Which
It's the same concept in Christian and Jewish philosophy and Jewish Kabbalah, Kabbalistic mysticism.
This overemphasis on hidden knowledge, the idea that there's something, as if the plain text is not already dense enough with
Encoded,
meaning.
yeah.
Yeah. It's
I don't
purely
know.
this.
I don't know that they would call it hidden, though. I'd say that with for those with the eyes to see.
Well, that's the thing. It's something that the further along you are in your understanding of it, the more you realize the more ignorant you really are,
Yeah.
the more you understand your own ignorance. But uh, I don't know.
But John
Was
Z and
John
his
Dee a
peeps,
Christian?
John Z, I think he was a Christian in the context of the times, which is fucking a bad Christian,
Yeah,
probably for the most part.
yeah,
uh,
not good.
but my point being is, so John Dee and his contemporaries were like, okay, so if we're to understand the world as a book, the book is falling apart. We think we haven't gotten to the point in our
Oh,
historical dialectical process where we realize that it's actually just natural processes that God himself set in motion, such
mm,
as the comet. They later figure out, by the way, that all these comets, they come back because it was
right.
set in motion as a beautiful machine at some point before human recollection, you
Hmm.
know? And that's really that piece of enlightenment is really, and I use that word intentionally, is where the rubber hit the road for
Mm.
the Christian Europe to go, okay, fuck it, we're figuring all this shit out, you know. But
We're
this
writing shit down and we're
we're
keeping it.
we're keeping track of this stuff, and we're no
Stop
more of this
wiping your
crap.
ass
No
with,
more of this crap of thinking that we can just like suck our own pee and then be able to become Adam or something.
dude. But here's the thing. Even you know what it feels like to me? It's like they think that they can read ahead in the book of
Yes.
nature. They feel like they can skip ahead to the end and, tell you what happens, or by running these algorithms of
Yeah.
running these
Well,
Enochian
there's certainly I hesitate to use the word Enochian because he didn't use the word
no,
Enochian.
no, he did not. No, that was post after the fact.
Yeah, that's all his kooky content or his kooky sort of
That's what crazy people would say.
descendants. Yeah, intellectual descendants. Yeah, literal crazy people who save their
Yeah.
pee. And they named their organization the Golden Dawn because that's the best time to collect the gold pee.
I thought you were talking about Isaac Newton.
Him too, but he had better theology than John Dee, though.
Yeah, he liked apples, which, stand-up guy. So this was the perfect time for him to
Yeah.
flex what
Well, he
he
wanted to
was
come. So as I said before, he's
adept in.
seeing these what he perceives as flaws in the book of nature, the Earth, because he doesn't. Again, it's we haven't reached the dialectical time. The time in dialect, the dialectical process has not reached the phase in which people just go, okay, let's actually figure out why this stuff's happening. So his idea is what we need to do is actually figure out a way to mathematically decode this book that is the Earth. And I know this sounds stupid. It's not stupid either.
And
It's
these are
just
not stupid
it's
people.
abstract
It
is what I'm getting at.
it feels like someone who doesn't have enough, who feels like
Well, he's a
the
narcissist. That's pretty much
yeah,
decided. Like,
it's like that earthly knowledge has run its course. As if
yeah.
there's
Now
nothing
we need to
really.
look to the heavens. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've learned
no.
everything there is to know, basically. I mean, to him though, he probably did think that because he's like, dude, I literally own every book.
Yeah, sure. Um,
It's easy
but
for him to see you. It's easy for you to see him thinking that.
oh, absolutely. And he had many people, yeah, going him along.
Yeah.
And people like Edward Kelly, who I
We'll get
think
to him in just
called
a
his
second.
bluff. I think Kelly called his bluff
I think they
hard.
were thick as thieves, dude. I don't think this. I don't. We'll get to him in a minute, but, um, yeah. So I just want to say the other thing before we get to the angel stuff. Oh, all right. But he wanted to come up with a universal science, which ultimately would actually find its way through Newton, ironically. Maybe not ironically, but fittingly, I guess, because he came up with calculus, and that's really what he was taught. What kind of what D was envisioning.
He also was very insistent on a singular world religion. Um,
Yeah, but that was a common
pres
idea at the time. Even
yeah.
Swedenborg
Oh,
had
sure,
that
yeah.
idea.
Presumably under some sort of Christian architecture or paradigm, but from Orthodox or just layman Christians, not these, hermetic,
Kooky
esotericist,
guys. Yeah.
mystic creep weirdos. Um, uh, it's always imbued with this utopianism, this
Well, the
Gnostic
Bible
flowering
hasn't
of
though. I get that, but you got to understand they just picked up the Bible for the first time in their own language. They're reading Revelations, so they're talking about 1,000 years of happiness and wonderful because Jesus came back.
right, but it's
And we understand that. I think I actually got to tip my hat to Swedenborg here. I think
yeah,
it is a metaphorical sort of illusion where it is talking about a church in the sense that, Jesus is the rock of the church.
yeah.
His second coming will be the good church that we're all waiting for.
Hmm.
Um,
My grief, my issue is with Christ said it will my wisdom will appear foolish to the wise, so the fact that the ones trying to get behind this
oh
all
yeah, they're
good, all
eggheads. Yeah.
enveloping, yeah, these nerds think that the zenith of the human hit story will be us
Us
mechanically,
eggheads. Yeah.
scientifically transcending death, as if
Yeah. Well, I
it's
don't
not.
know. John Dee didn't want to do that per
Oh yeah,
se.
no, that's the thing. It's not. But his works were passed around very, very happily in
By the
Rosicrucian
people who
circles,
were
and
into that. Yeah.
oh yeah, absolutely. So
But yeah, it's worth mentioning though that
don't leave loaded guns lying around.
true. But well, so for all of John Dee's, this is an important thing because, like I said, where I was talking about the Sandman comic, there, John Dee's sort of reputation through history is a guy who like literally is on a first name basis with the devil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the reality is not that. The reality is he certainly his entire theological framework is with Christ at the head of it. I don't know. I think he might have been a Unitarian actually, but regardless, the point is he was certainly within a Christian framework, and to the point that he exhaustively searched through Christian apocrypha, apocrypha, in order to find firm ground with which to frame his entire angelology.
A most stiff-necked people, the Jews.
True.
That's his own words.
It is, yeah. But what's it called? So now let's talk about the angel stuff and Ed Kelly.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, did I? Oh, I one more last real quick thing. I want to talk about the monas
Hieroglyphica.
hieroglyphica.
Yeah.
So another thing. So I was saying before, like it sounds silly to us in our modern minds to go like, oh, they were gonna decode the book of nature, which is the earth, and they were going to scientifically reverse engineer the numerological words in the book that is the earth. Now,
Yeah,
the other
yeah,
thing
yeah.
is, I forgot to mention this again, there's the whole context of the word is divine and the word has to do with creation. But also, the other thing is the Hebrew language as well as the Greek language are numero alphabetic,
Hmm.
if that's the right word. But you kind of get what I'm saying just by piecing it together with context clues. Every letter had a number corresponding to the letter itself. And ergo, you could make little, this is how gematria works, is you could make little like math problems out of words, you know what I mean, using a
Hmm.
pseudo cryptography.
Yeah.
So on a very literal level, John Dee and his contemporaries, Paracelsus, somebody of Trimothea, I can't remember the names of these guys, but whatever. Um, they were
Greg
like Greg, yeah,
from Brooklyn.
yeah. But no, they were like, okay, so if the world's a book, that means there's letters in the book, which means that there also are numbers because there's numbers
Mhm.
corresponding with those letters. And we're into math. We're good at math. So let's just figure out that math and then we'll figure out the whole world.
and then we'll have
It's just that
lunch.
simple. Yeah, it's just that simple, right?
Then we'll break for lunch, and we'll come back tomorrow, and then we'll get laid. Shut up, you nerds.
uh, but
Go
yeah.
outside.
Yeah,
Um,
so okay, but but the frustration of the 20 years of him trying to figure this out on his own, and also in his mind, he's like, well, the world keeps getting worse.
just
And
wait.
yeah, well, by which I mean like weird things, escatons are happening. You know, I mean things that are signify the end of the world are
The
happening.
Moors.
Yeah, they did so much prophesizing. Yeah. But no. So I had a point I was gonna make, but I think I got to it. But yeah, so this is what the point where he goes, I need to stop trying to come up with it myself. I need to consult someone higher than myself. I need to consult with the divine. And there was this other idea in the zeitgeist that angels were the conduit for the divine in the
Mhm.
same way that numbers were a conduit for higher concepts of mathematics.
Mhm.
Now, when I say that, it sounds silly too, but if you think about it, it's actually true. Like numbers are signifiers. The number
Mhm.
one doesn't mean shit.
Well, the as it appears on a page or on a screen,
Yeah, it's a
the symbol
representation.
that makes you think the number one is not the number one because it's
Yes,
different in freaking Ching Chong or whatever the hell.
exactly. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's an abstract idea that is encapsulated within a symbol.
Hmm.
And to that extent, there was this contemporary Renaissance slash late medieval period idea that angels were sort of analogous to this in the sense that they were a visual representation of this idea of divinity, of the transitory nature that the way numbers are used to convey mathematical ideas, angels were used to convey theological ideas. Does that make
Hmm.
sense?
I think so. And no, I don't think it makes sense, but the way you've
Within their goofy
explained,
framework, does it make sense? Does it make internal logic?
oh yeah, that's all they're worried about is internal logic and you
Yes.
being brought in
This
on
is
it.
another like libertarianism where they're like, it's just like a high IQ white guy trap for me, like, yes, don't have a family. Look into angel lineages and
Yeah,
shit.
finger the sockets of a skull. That's cool,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, man. Um, the the funny thing is they do there's a in the notes that you sent over to me on Telegram, it was put so perfectly, is that the Monas Hieroglyphica is so confounding
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk
now.
about that. Yeah.
Now, never mind then, even then,
Yeah.
because it's trying to incorporate totally disparate, totally
Yeah.
uh 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 wha-
So I'll
uh
pull it up real quick. I'll pull up the picture of it, and then you can go. You'll look at it, and then I'll say what it means.
the guy thinks semiotics and calculus is his way to
Well, there
tap
was not
into
even a
the
word calculus, of course.
yeah. He thinks, I don't know, man.
Okay, I'm putting
Like
it up on the screen here.
folks have
This
probably
is
seen this on
you've
some
probably seen
edgy,
this somewhere, yeah. But
somewhere edgy for
this is the
sure.
symbol, and this is like basically all of the concepts that are contained within it. Now, also, I should mention here that Jim Egan believes that the Old Stone Mill in Newport is a model of this,
Which is incredible. And that along with the idea that it was meant to be a I forget.
encoded message.
No, the room
Oh,
itself.
camera obscura. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, a camera obscura. I mean, oh, dude.
Listen, we got a whole episode on it. We'll go if you want to know more about the fucking Old Stone Mill. Go listen to that episode on Substack.
Yeah.
But okay, but anyway, it's hard for me to even convey what he wanted to do with this thing
Hmm.
because in his mind he was like, "Dude, I did it. I've basically set the stage for a new world order of peace, prosperity, and universal religion." And no more sectarian struggles And
Huh.
Jesus might as well have knocked on my door and said, John, you did a good job.
John,
Put her there,
thanks.
pal.
You know, it's funny you say that because when I would Google shit like this in my notebook in grade school, I
Yeah,
would
you
just
thought
get
you
in
were worshiping the
trouble.
devil. Yeah,
No, yeah. Well, I would just be told that I have to focus.
right. Yes, I know.
And
Yeah, he made a whole.
I told them I'm unlocking the secrets of the universe, and you're telling me I got to know uh
But so basically,
what?
he thought by incorporating every symbol within all versions of esotericism, so Christian, Jewish, ancient Greek, alchemical,
Scientological.
hermetic, all this shit,
Yeah.
Roman, that meant that zodiac, that meant that this could be the new symbol of the new epoch, I guess, and this would have some sort of transformational effect on the actual cosmos themselves. Now, obviously, that's silly.
Also, isn't it sort of menacing?
Yeah. Well, it clearly
I don't
looks
like
like.
it.
Well, I guess it's Mercury, but Mercury, yeah, is that's like the part that spooks me out. I think.
Well, just the fact that it's this like austere, unblinking eye with horns and like in the
Well, you're projecting the horns onto it,
yeah,
to be fair.
well, but that's the thing is, forgive me, yeah, I'm projecting onto the eternal pre-Edenic symbol that is the language of God. Yeah, forgive me. It's horse shit. Um,
Well, anyway,
drop out.
so this was a failure in his mind. Well, not a failure. He still stood by the symbol, but what I mean to say is he was like, I thought this was going to be it. Like that, this was it, we're so back, but it turns out it's still so over.
Dude. Dude, boomers are gonna be putting like posting the Mona Hieroglyphica and being
I
like,
can't wait till
this is what your kids are learning in the liberal
these
arts college."
podcasts. Yeah.
No, it's you're gonna send your kid to college so they can learn about the Mona Hieroglyphica. They're gonna come back with blue hair and talking to
Boy,
angels.
do I actually can't wait for right now is the fake, trad Christian phase that's going on right now in online MK Ultra discourse or MK Ultra worldwide discourse. I can't wait for
MK
John
Worldwide.
D. I can't wait for the John D phase where everyone's like, no, I'm actually
I'm a Deesian.
ortho bros. That's so 10 years ago. I'm a John D acolyte.
Ugh, cool, dude.
I'm chatting with angels over my 5-minute lunch break at the Amazon warehouse,
Yeah. Where's your
and I'm
wife?
owning the libs.
Where's your wife right now, you weirdo?
Well,
Probably
he works at
somewhere
Amazon.
running around. Edward Kelly.
You
Yeah,
know.
let's talk about Edward Kelly here.
Well, okay, so now
And
we're
his,
talking about the angel conversation. So the angels
yeah,
were the next logical step, obviously. Um, I say
not
that to say,
stopping war.
I hope you understand that's facetious. I just clearly
Yes.
not the next logical step is to go
No.
talk to angels.
Yeah, folks, we're a little jaded here for new listeners. Yeah, we don't. This is
I don't believe
old.
any of
Yeah.
this. Yeah. But so again, so basically there was this idea of something called a scryer. A scryer is a circus performer, pretty much, and would go from town to town and would go, "Hey, you got any shiny rocks or glasses of water?
Hey,
Let me
that
talk to some
soup.
spirits."
Hey, I can see your future in that soup you're eating. Give me a dime and give me a spoon of that soup, and I'll tell you what's gonna happen to you
Yeah.
next week.
So they were marginal people, these guys, and it was
Yeah.
basically they were schizophrenic, generally
Oh
speaking. I
yeah.
think at
Oh
least
yeah.
they had what do you call it? DID,
And D was yeah, D was schizosympathetic.
DID,
John DID.
John.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, yeah. Um,
Dude, yeah, absolutely. Because how else do you have
how
these?
else do you be a spy other than having DID? By the way,
How do you be a spy, be a family man, and also
talk to angels. Yeah,
be in a room with one other guy, but there's three conversations going on?
yeah.
Yeah, no. And the way that the angels would take issue with his pronunciation, and
It's
so,
so clearly like it's some sort of manic, yeah,
oh
like
yeah, no.
expression. So okay, so there's a line in I think Ephesians. I could be wrong. I think I'm remembering it correctly from the book, but uh, Paul, I believe, says looketh upon a stone and you will see God's work or something to that
Hmm.
effect. Don't even look it up because I'm
Oh,
completely paraphrasing. But the point is that I think now, if you want my little biblical interpretation here, I think what Paul was saying was God made the stone, so when you're looking at the stone, you see God's work. So
wait, hold on.
simple, right?
No, it's not, Scott. You're being reductive and stupid.
Yeah, but I sometimes it is that. Sometimes it do be like that, though.
It do be like that
Yeah,
sometimes. But it do be like that sometimes,
yeah.
to read too much into things. Um,
But the point is that so
the first pet
kooks,
rock,
yeah,
John
but
D.
kooks in the wake of in the medieval era were like, well, there's scriptural basis for me looking into a crystal ball, clearly.
Yeah, and there's some guy in a dress on the throne going, you know what? You're good.
Cool. Yeah.
You're
Well, actually,
fine.
no. I think this was considered at least borderline heresy. Which again, this folds back into the blackmail aspect of this espionage ring we're talking about here.
The fact that it's arguable at all, the fact that these accusations would get flown around, but then people would,
Still do it. Yeah.
still do it, still be known for doing it, still make a living doing it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sometimes they would polish a virgin or child's fingernails and they would look into that because it was the only thing shiny within like 60 miles, I assume, because everyone's filthy.
what? I don't like that. Leave the
But anyway,
kids out
so
of this.
my point is that this was like a non this was like a feature this was like a thing that was people knew about was scryers, and again they probably had some sort of mental illness and schizophrenia perhaps, but they would say a bunch of nonsense and they would get sometimes they'd be right about stuff, so then that would gain their reputation.
Remind you of anybody?
Yeah.
His- Hey.
But no, so basically though there was this idea that like John D was like, okay, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to need a partner who can look into a stone and see stuff.
Yeah.
So he started out with this guy, Barnabas something or other. Doesn't matter.
Saul
He's
Barn Saul Barnabas Saul
Barnabas
Bartholomew
Saul.
Saul.
Barnabas
Yeah.
Saul.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
Didn't quite match his freak the way he wanted him to.
yeah, he did get name two people who match each other's. Oh, that's the meme. Name two people who match each other's freak, and it's John D and Kelly.
Yeah. See if you
I'm
can
gonna
tilt
knock
the
that
images.
together. Yeah.
See if you can tilt the images together so they're like resting on each other's shoulders, their heads.
Yeah. Well, okay, but so regardless, this Barnabas Saul guy hits the bricks, and the very next day, one of John D's associates knocks on the door and says, "Hey, I got a new scryer for you. His name's Edward Talbot." And Edward Talbot would always wear a monk's hood or would have long hair, which was unthinkable at the time, particularly for a Protestant. And the reason being is that Edward Talbot's real name was Edward Kelly, and
Mm.
he was a convicted coin clipper.
Ooh,
And
the one unforgivable sin.
pretty much, yeah, actually. One of
Not
the punishment for
blasphemy.
that being that you clapped in the stocks and you get your ears clipped. You don't lose your whole ear, but you would lose the top half of your ear, so you're like a Doberman pincher.
Hey, did not deter the man one bit. Only made him more aerodynamic.
Clearly, yeah.
Only let him
So
run faster
I don't know how
between.
long it took. Here's the issue. Here's another issue we have to briefly talk about here is that John Dee's library was lost, particularly largely when he returned to England. And the other thing was a lot of his diaries were lost because the guy who took over his shit afterwards was also hard up for money, and then he ended up having to sell all of his papers. And it went into just some unscrupulous noble who was like, "Yes, this seems like a cool thing to have." And his cleaning lady used the parchment to bake pies, to make pies. And I'm serious. Now, this sounds like
Yeah,
it's
pie
possibly
liners.
fake. This is
It-
actually also possibly a lie that has been concocted to sort of redact these pieces of intel, I'm
yeah,
assuming. But it's a fun story to tell, is that the parchments disappeared because they were baked into pies.
All I'm saying is, there was nothing to do back then besides beat your slaves and read. So what else are you gonna do? All this,
Bake
all these.
pies?
What? What'd you say?
Bake pies?
No, you're gonna read this shit if it's of any value whatsoever, and you have a
Right.
bunch of guys that can read it for you. If it's of anything of value or of, uh,
Political importance. Yeah.
geopolitical importance, it will be kept, copied, and it will
And
have
filed, yeah.
have a convenient story
It'll go
to
into that
explain its
like a
disappearance.
storeroom at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes, perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, underneath the Vatican
Yeah.
or what
Okay,
have
but
you.
so what they set out to go is, okay, we're gonna look at scry. We're gonna scry this show stone, which is like a solid lump of crystal that's been polished to a sheen. Now, there's conflicting reports about it. Some people say that angel images would emanate from it. Now, to me, this is a
Like,
complicated fucking light show that they figured out how to do, and this would be a real optical. Because again, did I mention this? Is that John Dee like wrote like this huge treatise on optics and how light works and how
yes,
various crystals react to different light angles and projecting images using it, camera obscura, all this
not
stuff.
not to mention his notoriety early in his life when he was bouncing between colleges, lecturing, and as a student. Uh, During a production of something Greek, there was a giant flying beetle was called for,
Yeah,
and he managed
conjure this in some way. Now
to
my thinking is it's probably was some sort of light trick. Like you ever see like how the original Haunted Mansion at Disneyland works?
no, too scary.
It's
Explain.
it's like a bunch of it's a bunch of mirrors that are bouncing off each other that
Hmm.
display. So the way the ride works is you're like in a car, like in a stupid little like a ride,
Like a
and then
Ford Fiesta.
in one point you're it turns the vehicle towards a set of mirrors so you can see yourself in it,
Mm.
and in the seat next to you is the ghostly image of a ghost, a spooky ghost. And the
Oh
way they
boy.
do this is they have like a series of mirrors overhead that bounce into each other that projects down onto the mirror and into
Uh,
your eyes.
Brilliant.
Yeah, but it's real practical stuff. All you need is a
Yeah.
light with a piece of paper that has a stencil cut out of it. My point being is probably, I'm gonna guess this is how John Dee accomplished that.
This man was, if anything, one of the most talented visual special effects artists
Of the time of all
ever
time.
that's ever
Of all
been. Yeah,
time. Yeah.
for sure. That definitely. He and these scryings were not always private.
Yes, well, that's what I
Sometimes,
think that's the op, by the way.
yeah,
So I think it's
exactly.
50%. So there's two things going on right now. One thing is John Dee earnestly was in pursuit of some kind of higher enlightenment and understanding of the Christian religion and its place in the world and how it relates to science and as they called it then, natural philosophy.
Mhm.
But here's the thing: he'd hit a wall where he can't just go, I know because I'm smart. He needed to go, I'm speaking on authority right now. So
Yeah.
his idea was, I'm just going to do this fake thing where I have angels. This is speculation, folks. But I think his idea was, I'm just going to talk to fake angels and I'm going to have them tell me things that I already thought. And then I could say that the angels told me things that I had come up with, political ideas, ideas about alchemy, ideas about history, ideas about etymology, ideas about this and that. And then I'm gonna go, well, look, obviously this was all I obviously appealed to authority fallacy. Um,
Is that how sick of explaining himself he was? To
I think
idiots,
so,
to
yeah.
dipshits, to the. Do you imagine how much he resented having to beg for a living from these people who probably had a third of his intellect and
Yeah.
knowledge?
Well, I don't know. I think that the Holy Roman Empire emperor guy seemed pretty
Uh,
intelligent, but
he was onto his shit, is
yeah,
what he
but that's what I
was.
mean. Like
Yeah,
he was the one who wasn't fooled by it.
but I mean, yeah, it's almost it's just funny to think, it's easier to convince these people angels told me than it is to teach them
Just teach them
a math equation.
the first principles behind all the stuff that I'm trying to get at. Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, so okay, there's two ops here. Number one is he wanted to have a source of authority for which to extol what I believe was his ideas about natural science, et cetera, and sort of verify things. Because a lot of what he did was he would go, "Hey, so I was thinking this thing about, um, optics or anatomy or whatever. What do you think about that?" And the angel will be like, "No, you're wrong.
Mm.
But it's this," and it's just like that just represents to me he changed his mind about something and he was like, okay,
Yeah,
now I want this to be my idea.
yeah.
But anyway, regardless, he did that. And then the other thing was, as you said, it was something of a public, air quotes, affair because he was enshrouded in secrecy. However, he would invite prominent people to sit in on it and not just witness the actual thing taking place, but also witness like what was being said too, which is
Yeah.
oftentimes could be a little bit racy and or
Heretical.
blasphemous.
He's speaking in tongues.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well,
He was
Edward
just
Kelly is, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, this guy with no ears is making weird guttural noises and shit. And there's weird images of angels darting around the room because there's a candle underneath that's being spun in a clockwise motion around a series of like crystals that are shaped, you know. And then the other thing was they have like the table is all written is covered. They have this real specifically designed table with funky
Yeah.
characters all over it. His design. He claims that they're from Atlantis. Again, back to Atlantis, by the way.
Yeah. They love it. Well,
Back.
everyone's looking back, yeah. As if Christ didn't tell us to look
It's
forward.
worth mentioning
We will do greater
that
things than he.
this is the first generation of Christians to seriously reconsider the ideas of Plato.
Mm.
Which, by the way, there's good stuff in Plato. I don't want to like completely discount Plato's work here. Just because he's a pagan doesn't mean that he had like the analogy of the cave is mwah, love it.
Yeah. No. You do not throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
Um,
So, but to that end, though, I mean, it's worth saying that John Dee was right to look at Plato, and it was interesting. And it stands to reason that he would get intrigued by shit like Atlantis when he was looking at the Plato.
absolutely.
Because it's intriguing. Everyone loves Atlantis. Come on.
Oh,
We
for
did a whole
sure.
episode. That fucking episode did great numbers, by the way.
Hey,
Yeah.
folks, go check it out if you
Yeah.
haven't already. Um, I think that there is an obvious, like you say, an appeal to authority and an obvious fear. Well, it's not even, it's not an unreasonable fear. You cannot look forward because that's borderline, that's
Well,
grounds for
to them,
execution.
well, I was gonna say to them, the future is just the apocalypse. It's coming. It's
Exactly.
imminent. It's
Yeah.
imminent, rather.
Absolutely.
So there is
And
no looking forward. What's the point of looking forward? You're just looking at like 1,000 years of prosperity. I guess that'll be cool.
mm,
But we got some hard times between now and then.
yeah, great. As if people haven't had hard times
I
forever.
know for literally
So,
forever.
oh.
But anyway,
So
so
Kelly's
now
doing his dance. Just
and
freaking.
he but the thing you got to understand, this guy is like grody. He's also like
Oh
again
yeah.
he's out of step with the world in the sense that he is a commoner in a world of nobles. Like he's
Hmm.
just randomly, because he has this supposed ability to consult with the divine. He has this special privilege in the world. He's transcended social class in a way that is thought never possible before.
And he's
He's given
barely. Who knows how cognizant this guy was?
Supposedly he went to Oxford. We don't know that though. He tells people he told people he went to Oxford,
The
but
angels told him he went to Oxford.
yeah, saw it in a dream. If you go to Oxford in a dream, you better wake up and apologize. But yeah. So what's it called?
You're
So,
gonna
but
be okay.
scry the goddamn show, Stone.
Say the goddamn fucking words.
Yeah. But yeah, so but basically though, it's just funny because like there's this also this like sort of cultural meme that John Dee was duped by Edward Kelly. But
No,
I think that's covering for John Dee. You know what I mean? Because
I
Edward
swear.
Kelly's, don't get me wrong, Edward Kelly is a huckster. He's a liar. He ended up dying in prison of some
Yeah.
kind because when he broke up with Dee to go become the private alchemist of Rudolph II, the Holy Roman Emperor, he was like, "Yeah, I'll get you that gold in like 2 weeks, bro. I'm working on it. I
I'm
haven't
good
pissed a
for it.
lot.
I
I'm
swear.
dehydrated. I don't get enough piss. I'm trying, man. I'm trying to get gold."
I need more piss.
But meanwhile, Rudolph II had like given him a title within the Holy Roman, like the king. He was an Earl of Bohemia or something. And
Which I
this was
mean,
just some guy. Like I can't
yeah.
can't make this more clear to you.
Um, Edward Kelly did not kill himself. I'm saying it now. All right.
You think he got Epstein?
Um, yeah, he jumped from the tower.
Yeah, the kid.
Like I said before, there's contrasting accounts. Like I was reading something that like totally that took the Edward Kelly story as like that's horseshit. People have been bandying that story around forever that he died in prison.
Mhm.
But this book, you know, took a pretty for fact. So
I think the idea is that he did die in prison, but it's a matter of when he died in prison, or he died in some sort of like supervisory custody. You know what I mean? Because he stole
suicide
a
watch.
shitload of money from the fucking Holy Roman Emperor, like
Yeah. He was
just by
just eating coins.
living off of him for like 20, legitimately 20 years, while just being like 2 more weeks, dude. I'm telling you, I'll have the gold.
I'm gonna turn this gecko into a solid brick of gold.
Yeah. Well, the other thing was like it's here's I don't want to make it seem like it was just a fiscal desire that Rudolph II had.
No, he's got all the money there he needs, but
Well, right, but the idea is that once you discovered the way to turn lead into gold, you now have discovered the Philosopher's Stone, which imbues you with eternal life.
mm, great. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Thank God they never achieved eternal life because this episode's long enough. There's
yeah.
enough to say about
It's
these
actually
nerds.
not that we're not doing so bad actually right now, time
Yeah,
wise.
I feel like we're cramming it all in.
Yeah.
Um, so then as you alluded, the band broke up eventually. They did
Well, we'll
not
get to
carry on
let's
forever.
talk
Yeah,
a little more of it. So yeah, they traveled all around. They traveled all around Europe. This is
playing the
the thing. They were
hits.
spying. I think they were spying during this
Yeah.
time. Oh, this is another important detail. So again, this guy is a commoner and he's a crook and he's convicted of forging money, which is like the worst crime ever in the Middle Ages. Um, and he's sending letters directly to the Queen. Like, what is going on? What is going on? Edward Kelly is just a guy with his ears clipped. What is going on?
Wait, who
Tucker
are you?
Carlson this
Oh,
week
okay.
on Tucker Carlson Tonight.
Speaking
John
of
D.
Kabbalah
There's this guy,
enjoyers,
John D. Pretty weird guy. Says he can talk to angels. But what does
wait.
he really do? Is he are we to believe?
And the whole time John D's talking, Tucker, maybe that's the look, when Tucker Carlson
He's
does
doing
that
that like
look, he's like
yeah.
that he's communing
He's
with
transfixed by some sort of otherworldly emanation coming out of John D's ball.
John D's nuts.
John D's nuts, yeah. um
Kabbalist, Tucker Carlson,
yeah.
you suck. Repent.
They call it the tree of wisdom. But is it very wise? We'll find out tonight on Tucker Carlson Tonight. What is going on? um, but what's it called? Yeah, so
I'm
they're
so
go.
glad
This is, in my opinion, I think they're doing spy shit. They're going around. They're getting people compromised by getting. Literally, they had a bishop of the fucking Catholic Church for Poland, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
like the Archbishop, sit in on this and then have a theological debate with them via the fucking angels. Because
And
I'm sorry, there's no real angels talking to these guys.
no,
It's just John D
it's
and
just
Edward
John.
Kelly coming up with whatever they like.
It's just Edward Kelly like doing a voice. He's just doing an accent.
But here's the issue,
Hello,
because
hello.
he is doing he because first of all, he is speaking in mushmouth crap. It's not actually saying full words. He's saying fake words for the most part, as I understand it. We'll never
Mm.
know because there's no like recording of this, obviously. It was all hush hush, and furthermore, also obviously there's no recording equipment. But
That's what you think.
yeah, that's right. But what was I gonna say is this is the thing that Harkness said in the book, which I think is really crucial detail, is we have examples of the angel conversations from before Edward Kelly, during Edward Kelly, and after Edward Kelly, and the contents of which are remarkably consistent, meaning, therefore, that the person who came up with this stuff is not Edward Kelly. And in fact, she goes on to say that it is true that during the Edward Kelly era, it had the most verbosity and the
Mm.
most like sort of flair, even if you
Grandi
want to
Grandiosity, yeah.
grandiosity. But the actual contents of which, it's all D, baby.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all D.
D's nuts.
D's nuts.
Dude, yeah, no, the common denominator is D.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He's the one that's running through scryers. He
Yeah.
try
There's
gets his
5 or
own
6 of them
son.
in total. And his own son did it once, and he was like, "All right, you suck. You can't do it."
Poor kid, dude.
It reminded me of the Elvis documentary.
Absolutely, yeah.
The poor kid just being like, "What do you want me to do, Dad? You want me to act like Elvis again for the fucking BBC camera? This is humiliating." Fine.
I can't wait to move out and follow my real dream, which is to be a Glenn Campbell impersonator.
Well, no, which is to make really crappy EDM, I'm assuming, and then also murder Palestinian children. Let's be honest, that is his real dream.
Well, listen, we all need a plan B, a
Yeah,
fallback plan, all right?
yeah, right.
Something to
He works for
keep the lights
Unit
on.
8200 now. That kid from the
No,
someone told me that
no.
he just dropped that guy for Gil from the documentary. He just dropped off the face of the internet exactly in 2007, and no one's heard from him since.
Wait, who? Which guy?
Gil from the
Oh,
documentary.
Gil. Oh, Gil, Gil. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You mean Elvis?
Elvis, yeah, sorry, Israeli Elvis, yeah, Jerusalem Elvis. I'm sorry. Um,
Dropped
enough
off.
about
Maybe he
Gil.
was lifted up to the heavens, Scott. You
Yeah,
ever
maybe.
consider
Yeah, you
that?
know what? He's up there with the big man. Yeah,
Singing,
he became
doing a
Elvis
duet.
Tron. He got he became Elvis Tron instead of being just Gil down on Earth.
Petra, Elvis Presletron.
Yeah. No, I was
Holy
talking
shit.
about Metatron, like Enoch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought you meant the
the
tetragrammaton.
Tetragrammaton. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Same shit. Um, but yeah, so this is the most infamous story, obviously, we're gonna talk about now, which is the one of
The
the
cuck
near the
chair.
end of the one. Yeah, I don't think it was well, we'll get to that in a minute.
They
So
they
at the
brought
end
that
near
table
the
around, but there was some. They also brought the chair around with it
well,
too, all over the world.
they near the end of their partnership, they had a session in which the angels persuaded the two of them that they needed to share all things, including their wives.
And it's
Um,
funny because I thought like, I wonder who brought up what was that? Were they just talking about notes, money, clothes, and
I
then
think well,
Kelly brings
there's a
up the wife?
solid there's an idea that they had become in contact. They both had come in contact with the writing and thinking of this religious sect, one might say
Ah,
cult, called the
yes.
Universal Friends or the Universal
Yes.
Family, I think it's
The
called.
Universal Friend, Scott. Do you remember the
No,
Universal Friend?
no, the Universal Friends is actually the Quakers. I hope you know that.
Right, yeah. But do you remember the Universal Friend? The
Oh,
individual.
Public Universal Friend. Yes. Public
Folks,
Universal Friend.
you want to
Yeah.
have a good cackle? Look up the Public Universal
The
Friend.
first FTM trans person ever.
Uh,
But what is it called? No, but you're right. That's Universal Friend. But no, it's called the Universal Family. Which was like a really wackadoo, off-kilter, Christian-based cult
the
from
Shakers.
similar to is it the Shakers?
I do believe there is a overlap there,
Common ancestor or something. Yeah.
in which
Um,
it's what it sounds like, folks. They shook, rattle, and rolled,
Yeah, and they
and
also share everything. They're literally all one family, including each other's wives. But basically, these guys came in contact with this thinking while they were in their travels, and I think they were like, they were just like they were role playing a little bit during their fucking their angel sesh, and they were like, "Should we try it?" Now, there's some important details here, which is that Jane D, his wife, who is like 25 years younger than John D, um,
ah,
hated Edward
Edward
Kelly
Kelly.
with a unspeakable passion. Despised this guy.
What a
Couldn't
gem.
stand him.
She's
Now
my
the
favorite
other
in the whole thing.
possibly,
I
yeah.
like her.
But also another often overlooked fact that I learned from this book, the Harkness book, is that John D would often ask the angels, "Man, my wife's driving me crazy, dude. Is there anything you can do to get her off my ass?" Now, the way they framed it was, "My wife is suffering many afflictions of the spirit." But what does that mean in the time parlance? I think that means she was suffering some sort of mental illness and or she was being annoying.
She's either being annoying or she's depressed that her husband is a
Hanging
like
out with this
occultist
weird guy.
creep.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
who
And
won't
there's no
like
time for
sit.
their family, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and won't just sit and hang out. Instead of he's always in some dark room behind three sets of doors, you know,
Literally,
choking
yeah.
himself out on whatever fumes of whatever thing. I
Like a
swear,
natural
dude,
gas
these
that they
people
built
were,
a house over, yeah.
dude, these people were lightheaded at the least on off of something.
They were doing no, they're doing that thing where they squat for 30 seconds and then stand up and then go, you know what I'm talking about? You
What,
ever done that before?
I
You
haven't
do
done that specifically.
legitimately get fucked up for like 0.5 seconds. I think I did it when I was like 16 years old to be like, yeah, legal highs, man. You just squat for 45 seconds and then stand up and blow on your thumb.
Um, I bet they were looking at those like I bet they were looking at like glow in the dark Alice in Wonderland posters and stuff.
Yeah.
And like
It was John
Je
Dee's work that
Jefferson
laid the
Airplane.
ground laid the groundwork for Alice in Wonderland, I imagine. Going through the mirror and shit.
Spoiler, I mean teaser. Well,
Was that in the next book we're reading? Yeah.
well no, we'll be talking about
Oh, I'm
Mr.
sure, yeah.
Carroll eventually.
Yeah, if that's his real name.
Mm,
But yeah, no,
Talbot.
but yeah, so they decide that they're gonna share everything, including their wives. So, but my point
Inconclusive
is,
if that actually if there was a follow through on that.
here's my thing. I think John D hated his wife, and I think he was like,
What an
I,
asshole.
dude, we're talking about the original 007 here, man. He's supposed to be a womanizer. And
But
also, I think these guys were just horny old men, and they were like, yeah, I'd like to try the other guy's chick.
it's literally like they
You're
got to the
laughing, but I mean, like, this is like, but think about any boomer, this is like their highest fantasy. You know what I
yeah, I
mean?
guess
Like,
so. Well, yeah, like you say, it's like they have reached an absolute like zenith of, and like I said
again,
before,
it's also another
calling
thing.
one another's bluff. That's what I think this
True.
was.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
And
that's
also
what it
another thing
was.
is now they got dirt on each other.
Your wife's a butterface.
Yeah,
Huh.
whatever. I don't know what they look like, but either way, yeah, I don't know, man. So I believe that story, but I also believe there's more to it. The way that sort of history remembers it is that like D was like, damn it, I came out in the wrong side of that. Like it's like almost like he's like was fooled by Edward Kelly. Like, because I think there's like this misconception that Edward Kelly was like going like, "Ooh, I'm the angel, John. You need to let me have sex with your wife." And I don't think that's it at all. I think it's they were like, yeah, so Edward, I think I'm sensing that the angels are saying that we need to share things. You know that stuff we were talking about the other day, the sharing
Yes.
stuff. And then
Yes,
Edward
I
Kelly's like,
remember.
it's like, "Ooh, yes, I do, I agree." And then I think it was that man. They match each other's freak.
Yeah. They should have just gotten a room and stayed in it. That's what I say.
I mean,
All
they
right.
literally did that like all the
No,
time. They
no.
spent 8 hours at a time together talking to people who weren't there,
Somebody should have
people who weren't
locked.
really there,
Somebody should lock those double doors and threw away the key and just let them, you know, uh,
working out between each
yeah,
other.
very, very
But yeah,
strange.
so I don't think either guy was. This is the thing. I don't think either guy was in the cuck chair. I think this was like a classic key party situation.
Mm, classic, yeah.
Well, for boomers.
Classic in the whatever sense, in the
The
Enochian
trauma of World
sense.
War II. Yeah, the trauma of World War II being worked out via degeneracy, I guess. Um, but yeah,
Well, I
anyway,
mean, and this was just on the cusp of quite the most awful century. Yeah. This laid these fanciful aspirations for a British Empire,
right,
you know,
yeah, true.
I mean, he was her court sorcerer when she defeated the Spanish Armada, if I'm correct. Am
Correct.
I?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
So,
Westward Ho.
yeah, I mean,
That's the
they're
book
riding
that's
the
about.
they're riding the wave. And so,
But also where real quick just to go dip our toes into the Jim Egan stuff. But yeah, during the time where he was Elizabeth's advisor, he became very close to Lord Gilbert there, the guy who
mm,
founded Nova Scotia, and
Raleigh's cousin, right?
supposedly, yes, Raleigh's
Yeah. Oh, half brother.
yeah, Raleigh's cousin, but Lord Baltimore's somebody too, if I'm not mistaken. No, Raleigh,
Mm,
Sir Walter Raleigh's. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry. No, I
I know
googled.
things. I'm smart.
But yeah, so but notably, the island of Narragansett, where Newport is today located, was
Mm,
or the channel in between that and the I believe the Connecticut River, if I'm not mistaken. Whatever. But it is was called John D. River, because
John D.
the
River.
river, it's John. But yeah, no, he technically owned a big portion of America at one point. Supposedly never took advantage of it. But again, the Jim Egan theory is that there was a small expedition of two big ships and a little ship that did indeed sail, but it's not stated whether they made it all the way to the New World. And it's not stated what they did when they got there, if they did.
I tell you, they built that freaking watchtower that much. I can
They
tell
might
you.
have not. We don't
It
know.
might have not, but
So
hey, it's neither here nor
I
there.
liked it in my personal hyper reality. They did.
Um,
Um,
in your hyper reality, when did John Dee die? 1608 or 1609? Which
it's
maybe,
literally a 3 month gap as to where discrepancy as to
but
when he
the
died.
reason for that discrepancy is so interesting. Do you,
Please tell me. I don't know
oh,
this.
it's very funny. After he had supposedly died, there was another diary entry in his personal journal, and it was an illustration of a skull.
Huh.
That might be apocryphal. That might just,
I like it. It's
suits
my
my.
hyper reality now. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. Where did I read? I don't. Either way, folks, correct. Tell me I'm retarded in the comments. I'm happy to hear it. But no, that. Much like anything else here, um, there's a lot left up to, you know.
Speculation.
What's funny is
These guys were spies. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're just not going to leave a faithful account of what happened. Like, he had two sets of diaries. He had the angel diaries, which is supposedly his real diaries, and then his
mm,
personal diaries supposedly had a lot of goofy shit in it that probably didn't matter, I'm assuming, because he must have left that one out. The other thing is he was living in these houses of all these rich people, these barons and monsignors of archbishops and shit. I
mhm.
imagine this little guy, by all accounts, by the way, was scurrying around the castle at night looking for parchments in which he could avail himself to, so which he could write back to his girlfriend, the Queen. That's the thing. That's why he didn't care about Jane D, because he really loved Queen Elizabeth.
Ugh. Ah, ugh. I mean, she, what a weird thing too. The
Did
fact
she
that
not marry? She had like
Uh,
famous boyfriends like that were like, and she never had a kid, and like her like half brother ended up taking the crown next, I think.
right, right.
This was
That
the
that
beginning of the Stuart dynasty. Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
So it's such a strange thing to have the
James the
qu
First, which was the one who ended up getting killed. No, 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 no. His son was the one who got his head cut off. Charles the First,
but
by the Cromwells.
this James who came next was the eponymous King James of the King
Yeah.
James Bible, who
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
also had a officially authored a treatise or whatever on demonology. Uh, Whether or not he did wrote it himself or if that was just some
John Dee might have wrote it.
Francis Bacon might have wrote it.
Francis Bacon
Um,
might have wrote it.
Either way, it's just very strange that yeah. I don't know if we can learn anything from this. Maybe it's that don't assume that the people in prestigious places of power uh are any more logical than you. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, they're not, and they,
No, they're kooks.
yeah, they
They're the
don't.
most superstitious people imaginable. Look at that video we were talking about before about the Queen's coronation, the Queen's or the King's coronation, and the Queen's funeral. They're taking specific steps and doing weird hand gestures. It's so weird.
And isn't there like a rock, something or other
The
that
the
is
stone
under
of
the throne?
Scone, the stone of Scone. Yeah. It's
That
a piece of, so the legend goes is that it's a rock in which
is it Gaelic?
The first
Oh,
king of Scotland was crowned
Idi
on
Amin?
over. No, that's the last king of Scotland. The first king of Scotland was, because as you know that the dynasty technically is a continuation of the Stuart dynasty, which comes from Scotland, and it supposedly, again, it would supposedly, but the story goes is that it comes from ancient Egypt. However,
Mm.
geologists have checked it, and it's a piece of rock from Scotland.
Aha,
Yeah,
there it is.
yeah.
Much like how that rock from the moon is just a piece of wood from
It's
wherever.
petrified wood. Yeah,
Yeah.
from I think it's from the national park, American National Park, from Yellowstone or something.
Oh, it's not petrified wood from the moon.
Yeah, but we could. I'm saying it's specifically from an American
I
place,
know.
like there. Yeah, but regardless, I was trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say.
Here's the thing.
There's a couple things I wanted to say too. Oh, this is one last thing. This is, I think we'll leave it on this. I think
Please.
before we get to this, rack your brains. Is there any other details that we chatted about that like we thought we wanted to talk about, like John D. Stunts?
Um, let's see here.
I
We've
think that's it.
discussed his
Other than the
father,
last thing I wanted
the
to say.
decoder ring. That's
Oh yeah,
fun.
yeah. Oh yeah, this is worth saying. Yeah. So he has all these like different. If you look at these angel diaries, the surviving angel diaries, it literally looks like Sudoku.
Yeah, yeah.
And I watched
Amazing.
this video. I'm not going to put it in the link, but I believe it's called the Enochian Systems of. I'm not going to put the link in the description, but you can search it. This
It's the
guy's name
most
is.
obtuse video ever. It's so difficult. It
Yeah, it's
feels
also
like
has like a
talking.
bunch of music that's way too loud and all this other stuff. But
It's
the work the guy did was kind of good. So I got
it's
to shout out to the
truly
guy.
yeah, it's the most perfect YouTube video ever about an
Yeah.
esoteric topic. It's totally confrontational to the
Census. Yeah.
passerby. Yeah, no
Yeah.
one is going to watch this or pay any attention to it if
Yeah.
they don't
But the
need
guy
to.
shares our belief that he was a spy and that this was
Yeah,
all cryptography. So I shouts
I
out
could
to him for
barely
that.
hear it, but
But
yeah.
so basically he works it out. Like he goes like, look, this is like a decoder ring, like the first decoder ring, but it's by an earlier natural philosopher.
Mm,
And he came up with this idea to make this spinning wheel in which you could like be like, oh, this is how I could decode a message, whatever. But he goes, John D would have known about this decoder ring, basically. I forget
mm,
what it was called. It doesn't matter. So he's saying he must have taken the principles from that and used it in this obvious code
mm,
book.
hmm
And he goes, this is how you would use it. You would spin it in this way and that way, and you would go, okay, this letter corresponds with this one. So you would have somewhere in this letter, you would put a word or a date or something for you to orient the spinny thing and then you would go, okay, well, this word means this word means this, and that this would transmit whatever relevant information that it would be. And the guy in the video constructed these three-dimensional like code boxes in
Yeah.
which he would go, yeah, this is look, this is how you would decode it. And he goes, he even like takes a minute to go like, oh, this is me encoding this very simple word into it using this. This is how
Hmm.
you would represent it, like using a code. But so I assume that this entire thing, the entire point of these diaries was in order to give a code to people back in England to give juicy goss about what was
Yeah.
going on in the continent.
Which, very important,
Yeah, of course. I'm
essential.
sure. I mean, this era was the era in which the British Empire was the supreme power on the globe,
And they
planet, whatever you guys want. I know. Sorry, flat earthers.
hey,
By the way, this guy
um,
was boys with Mercator, your fucking
yeah.
nemesis. Yeah.
Oh, dude. Gifted him a globe, gave him all sorts of maps. This was way early on. Um, yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
this was when he was
amazing.
like 20 something, if I'm
Yeah,
not mistaken. He was
exactly.
friends with Mercator. But yeah, so that's the last thing I want to say. But then the last thing I wanted to say was I do see something of myself in John Dee, if only
Hmm.
to say I empathize with his desire to find out the truth about things because I do think there was an earnest aspect to John Dee in
Yeah.
that he was a legitimate mathematician and natural philosopher, and he truly did, while he was doing his kooky weird sex tinged occultism, he also clearly did have a strong drive to find out the truth about the world.
Hmm.
And I see something of myself in that, particularly in the sense that I will go on these long dives where I'm consulting Google or the Chat GPT or whatever. I'm
Communing
quite
with
literally consulting with angels, like quite literally consulting with angels, and I'm trying to figure out the truth about the world and stuff. And when I'm sitting alone and trying to piece this shit together, I can't help but see something of John Dee in myself. I'm
what,
pondering. I'm literally looking into a black mirror and consulting angels about the truth, occult truths.
Scott, don't you dare, and don't
I mean, I'm uncovering
I
these
will not be your
occult people
Edward
are
Kelly,
doing.
by the way. All right.
Definitely don't want any of that.
Not allowed.
And I'm not
Uh
cutting your ears off either.
yeah, that's what that's the thing is no. I
You're quite
can
attached to them.
hey, that's funny. It's funny you say that because I literally was telling myself few hours ago, I'm like, why is this guy more sympathetic than I ever expected?
Yes, you. I
Yeah,
get. I think part of it. Again, part of it is that the history sort of remembers him as literal a devil worshiper. When
yeah.
clearly we've looked into the book here, we've looked into it, all of the evidence, and it seems like yeah, he had an interest in alchemy, and he felt like alchemy was something that was like a sort of pagan art, lost art or something. That they could harness in order to get, but his aim was to be like somewhere within the cosmology of Christianity. You know what I mean? He
Hmm.
definitely didn't. He definitely wasn't like going like, all right, I'm going to talk to Satan. Like he definitely
Yeah.
that was not what he was doing. He went to painstaking efforts in order to frame his kooky bullshit within the framework of contemporary Christianity,
Which
which
that
was
was his only
kooky,
option.
Yeah.
And that was his only option because that's the only
Yeah.
way it would be
Yeah, what was he
accepted.
supposed to fucking be a time traveler too?
And I'll be honest, man, I don't know if dude was hardly what would Jesus do type, you know? Because Jesus
Yeah.
would mind his wife and his children and not
Yeah, not
cavort
be
with
doing not be
not
doing weird spy stuff.
not hang out with all these nerds and
And the queen.
dukes, the queen.
Yeah. Yeah,
No.
Jesus hung out with people who had rotting sores all over their bodies.
Yeah. Um and if but
Due to no
nonetheless.
fault of their own, for the record. Not like they did anything to deserve
No, yeah,
leprosy.
their water was probably poisoned by whatever army was
Yeah.
passing through those parts. Um, yeah, no, there's nothing to there's plenty to learn from John D, but nothing worth
I just
imitating.
thought it was a funny thing to for the
Yeah,
last thing we said is to be like, yeah, I kind of see something of myself. I'd be like, dude, what can I
he's
say?
literally me.
He's not literally me. Stop. That's that too. You've gone too far.
Oh, it's too
Well, you got to
fucking
go like
funny, dude.
this too. Take your ears off. Like, woo.
Woo! Dude,
All right, all right, all
show.
right. We
All
did
right,
enough. We did enough.
abracadabra.
Perfect. 2 hours exactly.
Very
www.history. www.
very auspicious two
Oh,
hours.
oh. Well, actually, let me just real quick, just to give some. So there's this guy named Roger Bacon, not Francis
Uh-huh,
Bacon, but I
uh-huh.
think it is his father, if I'm not mistaken, or
The
grandfather.
Poughkeepsie Bacons.
Yes. Let me just pull this quote up from directly Roger. Where the hell is our group chat here? Our chat. There it is. Here's the quote. Although a wider circle of readers was exposed to his attitudes toward the contents of the Angel Diaries through Casaubon's publication of A True and Faithful Revelation, his criticisms of the work were not nearly as oh, I'm sorry, this wasn't Roger Bacon. This is Robert Hooke. Um, his criticisms of the work were not nearly as dismissive and damning as those of the natural philosopher Robert Hooke, who, by the way, is not mentioned in this text, but was actually a secretary of Dee's for two
Mm.
times in his life. It is evident from Hooke's reference to the, quote, many discourses he overheard among his friends of the Royal Society that the angel conversations were a popular topic there. In a lecture given to the Royal Society on the subject, Hooke referred scathingly to the angel conversations as Dr. Dee's delusion.
Yes.
Although he considered Dee to have been, quote, an extraordinary man for both learning, ingenuity, and industry. Hooke rebuked Casaubon as well, stating that a true and faithful revelation was extravagant. Despite the fact that he agreed that the documents were a valuable weapon against enthusiasts, enthusiasts who altogether depend on new revelations, and those unfortunate enough to seek out witches, conjurers, and astrologers. Nevertheless, Hooke, like Dee and Casaubon before him, found something of interest in the diaries. He believed that the conversation should be not accepted at face value, but were a form of cryptography, one of Hooke's own passions, for which hid valuable political information that Dee had gathered for Queen Elizabeth. Ladies and gentlemen, we got his ass.
We
We
got
literally
him.
have his contemporary, a guy that knew him personally, straight up accusing him of being a spy, and that his entire Angel Conversations contrivance was nothing but.
He's got my vote.
Yeah. But
Oh,
anyway, www.historyhomos.com for the RSS feed. We're also available on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, Rockfin, and most importantly,
sub.
www.historyhomospod.substack.com. That is the best way to support the show. If you like this show, and I do think it was a good one, please, to get more shit like this, head over to historyhomospod.substack.com. You can actually just see the episodes there as well. That's a good way to consume the show. But if you're so inclined, you can also subscribe there for the low price of $5 a month, prorated even lower for the year if you want. But to get an extra show per week, that is 2 episodes per week instead of one, for the low price of $5 a month. And yeah, it's a full show. We actually do a whole totally different topic each week. Sometimes we'll do a movie review or a book review or something. But sometimes it's just historical topic as well. And yeah, please go check out that. It's the best way to support the show. Historyhomospod.substack.com. At time of recording, still the friendliest place on the internet is our Telegram group. T.me/historyhomos is the channel. T.me/historyhomos chat is the chat. Fair warning, when you arrive, you are expected to say a slur of some stripe when you get there, just to prove that you're not an Indian scammer. Also, you can follow us across social media at History Homos Pod. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can also, or you'd like a t-shirt, History Homos t-shirt, send me your size and address to historyhomospod@gmail.com. And also, I have a special request. I actually did just get an email just to show how responsive I am. I do respond generally very quickly to the emails there. But just this morning, I got an email from a listener asking me if I could make a request to Milk Trucker. Milk Trucker, if you can just contact your friends from Telegram, they're looking for you.
We're trying to bring families together here on the
Trying to bring
Homos
internet
podcast.
friends, internet racist mutuals back to each other's lives. So Mike specifically is looking for you. So shouts out to all those people. Thank you for listening again. I'm very pleased to have you all here. Die with dignity if you can. And Patrick, what would you like to say as your sign off for the episode?
I ain't afraid of no ghost.
I ain't afraid of no angels. Later, homos.
Dance in the dead of night, whispers fall from Uriel's wings while London hums with secret things. You say the angels spoke in code while across the seas your letters flowed. Was it truth or was it play? Were you scrying or spying that day? I see the glyphs in the crystal glare. Raphael's voice on the autumn air, but every prayer feels like a cipher line in your kingdom's grand design. Dr. D's delusion, was it heaven or illusion? Did the cherubs guide your hand, or were you mapping out the land? Dr. D's delusion, through the glass of revolution, was it Gabriel's refrain or Elizabeth's gain? Through the Enochian flood you sailed, each angel's name a ship you hailed. Michael's sword, Aniel's flame, all could be pawns in a shadow game. The court believed, or so they claimed, while your codes and margins stayed unnamed. Your compass pointed to more than stars, it traced the borders of distant stars. Every vision a mass charade, every sigil a plan you laid. In the tower alone you ride, under cover of the night. Dr. D's delusion, was it heaven or intrusion? Did the spirits lead you far, or to Poland's king and czar? Dr. D's delusion, every vision a conclusion. Was it angels in the flame, or the great imperial game? In the mirror see the spyglass gleam. Is it prophecy or just a scheme? Names like clouds drift through the haze. Uriel calls, but so does the queen's gaze. And I can't tell where the truth begins in your book of saints and